My name is Sam Garcia. I am the principal and founder of Sam Garcia Architect, an architecture firm based in McAllen, Texas. So the first project we ever did was back in 2013. The client was, at the time, he was an elected official. He was a school board member for Donna Independent School District. And I had just started my firm, and a colleague, a contact of mine, I was calling around sort of looking for projects, and the day I called him, he said, "Do you need a project? Because you called the right guy on the right day." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I have a school board member, but he does not want to hire any of the usual firms. He doesn't want to appear, for any conflict of interest or to show any favoritism, so he's specifically looking for a firm that has no ties with anybody else." So I ended up meeting this gentleman, fascinating man. He, business owner. In his previous life, he had been a commercial airline pilot, really cool dude. And the first project we did was something called New Life Assisted Living. He was opening an assisted living facility, and it was called New Life Assisted Living. And I thought that was very apropos, because here I am starting a firm, and this is going to be my new life, and the name of my first project was New Life. So I thought that was really neat. Over the next 10 years, I see SGA really continuing to grow and expand on the foundation that we've built. I think that we have the key pieces in place to continue to be an exceptional architecture firm. I think that over time, I don't want to grow too much in terms of personnel, because I would rather keep a small team that is highly effective as opposed to a large, unwieldy sort of team. So, we're currently a total firm headcount, including myself, of 6. I see it getting to maybe 8 to 12 people, but over the next 10 years, I would like to, at some point, bring on associate partners and sort of create the next generation of leadership for the firm, and just continue to, as the Valley continues to grow, as South Texas continues to grow, I think we're very well positioned to continue to provide good architectural services. I don't like to think of projects in terms of like, this is my favorite or that's my favorite, because really every project presents some sort of challenge and opportunity. Every project has its own kind of unique set of circumstances that come together that we have to respond to. I think really the best part of the projects that we work on is the people that we get to work with. I get to meet a lot of interesting entrepreneurs, business owners, people that by the time they come into our office and are looking for an architect, oftentimes these people have been dreaming and working towards their project for many years. So the fact that they come in looking for an architect is really the end result of a long series of choices and decisions and sometimes sacrifices that our clients have made. So for me, anytime that we get to work with a client on their project, I can always find some sort of level of appreciation for what it is, regardless of the specific nature of the project itself. When cities and regions have a critical mass of people, and that's usually somewhere in the 2 to 3 million people living within a relatively close geographic area, there seems to be an explosion of economic and cultural activity. You end up with thriving food scenes, art scenes, music scenes. You end up with a lot of interesting sort of businesses, more tourism, more amenities, more things sort of going on. So the idea of density and of walkable urban communities is not so much the density for density's sake or walkable communities for walkable community's sake. It's really an idea of the more people that we can bring together in a fashion that allows us to sort of live together, work together, grow together, it almost automatically spawns a culture and a sort of unique kind of brew of humanity. And I think that when my family moved to the Rio Grande Valley, like in the late 1980s, I think there was a transition from truly small, isolated, rural farming communities into sort of medium-sized cities. And then that transition continues, and we go from these sort of medium-sized to smallish towns and cities, and little by little the valley is sort of enmeshing itself into a larger, cohesive, united metro area. I think where we are on that continuum is maybe like 40 years behind, like where San Antonio was 40 years ago. I think that's roughly where we are. There's historical and economic and such, reasons for that are not necessarily relevant. But from an architect's standpoint, and from my standpoint as an architect, I think that we are still at a early stages of the true urbanization and development of the valley. I think that we as a people and as a culture are slowly becoming more aware of the potential that we have as a united force. I think you see that in the business community. I think you see that at the governmental level. This has been, the catch-all term of regionalism and of uniting. That's been something that I think over the past 5 to 8 years has really begun to take root. And so where I am and where my firm is, we're a small boat in the ocean. We're floating along with it, and we are we're certainly ready to have those conversations and ready to help out and participate with anybody that wants to continue that growth. And that's what we really base our business on, is people that have an optimistic vision for South Texas and have an optimistic vision for this place. Those are the people that we hope to attract and work with. And we see it every day. We're doing one project at a time, one small project at a time. Is just another brick in the wall of the growth. That's really our role to play. And I think cumulatively over time, we will begin to reap the benefits of what a larger urban, compact, walkable community will look like. And so I think we're on the path to it. I don't think that it's something that any one individual or one company or one city or one business tycoon can make happen. But I think as the United States continues to grow, as Texas continues to grow, and as the Valley continues to grow, we are all working towards, I think, that improved Rio Grande Valley, that improved quality of life and sort of a better place to live. And I think that that's really something that for the rest of my career, which hopefully is another 30, 40 years, I think it will continue to be an evergreen aspect of what we do. I don't necessarily have a dream project, but I suppose, you know, sentimentally, if there ever was one project that I think would be really really something special if I ever got a chance to do it. I'm from McAllen, Texas, and I went to McAllen High School. McAllen High School was built in the early 1960s, I believe. So the existing high school is, I think it's pushing 60 years old at this point. I know it's gonna have to be replaced someday. So for the longest time, I've you know, something that lives in the back of your mind of like, wouldn't that be neat if someday I got to redesign and do the new McAllen High School, because actually the current one, the 1960s building, is actually the second incarnation of McAllen High School. So I think that would be something that just kind of from a sentimental or just kind of it would be cool to do. I didn't have any architects or in my family or anything like that. I will say that as a kid growing up, I was always interested in drawing. I was like drawing, and then I was always kind of a Lego kid or construction blocks type kid. That was something that I was always, you know, good at. I enjoyed it. As an only child, I think, you know, you kind of get immersed in sort of the world of playing with building blocks and so forth. And then when I was in middle school, my parents, we were living in a house, but then we built a house. We built, you know, the house that my parents had always wanted. And so at the time, you know, we got the blueprints done, and I remember, you know, mainly over a summer, seeing the house get built, you know, how they poured the foundation and the framing and so on and so forth. And we would go look at the house, and, you know, I could see the blueprints, the plans, and it was fascinating to me to where you could see it on paper and then walk around and like, oh, okay. And then you begin to understand how it got put together. And so that was I think a key moment in my life. And where we lived at the time, there was always, you know, new houses under construction. So I would always like to go into houses that were, you know, still under construction, and kind of, you can begin to see like, okay, this is where a bedroom is, this is probably the kitchen, and that was something that always fascinated me. So I kind of had those ingredients, those sort of parts of my childhood. But what really did it for me was that when I was the summer between my junior and senior year in high school, I was afforded the opportunity to go to do a campus visit at the University of Texas in Austin. And they took us on a campus tour, and I remember we went to the business school, and we went to the College of Natural Science, and we went to the School of Engineering. And, you know, we look at these, the tour kind of went to these different buildings, and, you know, sort of, okay, cool, this looks interesting, I guess. And I remember I asked one of the tour guides, I said, can we go look at the architecture, the architecture school? And the tour guides themselves were college students, and I remember she said, oh yeah, I think it's over here. I've never actually been there. Why don't we go? So the entire tour didn't go, but we had a little bit of a break, and so me and I think maybe one other person went with the tour guide. And I remember that as soon as we walked into the architecture building, I just immediately felt at home. And we walked into one of the architecture studios that had, you know, they had drafting tables and they had work tables, and they were working on these, you know, wooden models, and they had these cool drawings, and everybody it was a studio environment. It looked like an art studio. And just at that moment, I just knew that that major and that course of study just captured everything that I liked, because there was a sort of artistic side to it, but I'm not an artist, but I have an artistic side. And then there was sort of a technical side to it, which I kind of liked that as well, but not enough to be, you know, a full-blown engineer. So it just kind of, you know, it was kind of an interesting meeting point of all these various interests that I had. And then when they said that the architecture school is the hardest major to get into, then my little kind of ego competitive spirit said, okay, well, I want to do that just to say I can do it. And so that's sort of, it just kind of appealed to, you know, my history. It appealed to my interests, and it appealed to my, you know, my vanity and my ego a little bit also. So I think that that for me it was the right fit, and it was something that that I've never had that feeling before, of really walking into a place and like knowing immediately, like, this is where I belong. That really only ever happened to me that one time in my life, where it was truly to my core, I knew this is for me.